Alright, so this deck right here revolves entirely around Hydralander, the Orbital Shadowlite weapon. Newish card with a really good effect. In order for him to bring himself out, you must have 5 or more monsters with different names in your graveyard. Which is not that hard to accomplish. It's basically, like Judgment Dragon, but for any kind of cards. It's a second effect that you really have to build your entire deck around if you want to use. The second effect is once per turn during either player's turn, so spell speed 2, you can mill the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you have all monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can destroy a card on the field. So that's why I try to only have 1 copy of each monster in the deck. Besides Hydralander himself, I have 2 versions of him. Because if I have 1 on the field, it's fine to have 1 in the graveyard. But if I had 2 of them in the graveyard, I can't actually activate his second effect. Because the condition is mill 3 cards, and then you check your graveyard to make sure you have monsters with no copies. So as long as you just run 2 of them, you should be fine. You could even have both of them out on the field, since I don't think there's really a limit on how many of them you can use per turn. But I wanted to be extra safe, so I only ran 2 instead of 3 of them. And its effect is spell speed 2, so you can use it during your opponent's turn whenever you want. That's what makes this card great. And it also has 3,000 attack, which is good. That's a good attack to be at. This card is really good, actually. But the big downside is you have to play, with no copies in your deck of monsters. Or be very careful with how you are able to manipulate your graveyard with stuff like Fairy Tale. There are other cards that can do it too. Fairy Tale is a really good one in this deck because you can use the effect during your opponent's turn as well to banish 7 cards from your graveyard. So I just went with like a Clown Blade engine with some of the new Twilight Sword monsters that I never really got to use because the deck didn't really focus around them. These cards seem like you really have to build the deck around them. You can't really just splash mint anything like you can the Light Swords, but they didn't really pull the deck down. So they were fine. And Hydralander, he was a good card.